Samsy. Story time with Ronnie. How you doing, guys? Alright, today we got Journey to the Center of the Earth. Part 18 for us. We're gonna continue on this little drive. We's heading south. We're gonna make it into Payson today. Maybe. But we'll see. So, when we left this thing off, Harry, the professor, and Hans had made their way into one of the tunnels. The professor had chosen, and they were going, and Harry was pretty convinced they were going the wrong way. Or at any rate, they were not going to find what they were looking for. And they only had a little bit of water left, so things were getting a little bit dire. So we'll pick it up right there. It was quite evident to me that we were ascending the scale of animal life, of which man forms the summit. My excellent uncle, the professor, appeared not to take notice of these warnings. He was determined, at any risk, to proceed. He must have been in expectation of one of two things. Either that a vertical well was about to open under his feet and thus allow him to continue his descent, or that some insurmountable obstacle would compel us to stop and go back by the road we had so long traveled. But evening came again, and to my horror, neither hope was doomed to be realized. On Friday, after a night when I began to feel the gnawing agony of thirst, and when in consequence appetite decreased, our little band rose and once more followed the turning and windings, the ascents and descent of the interminable gallery. All were silent and gloomy. I could see that even my uncle had ventured too far. After about 10 hours of further progress, a progress dull and monotonous to the last degree, I remarked that the reverberation and reflection of our lamps upon the sides of the tunnel had singularly diminished. The marble, the schist, the calcareous rocks, the red sandstone had disappeared, leaving in their places a dark and gloomy wall, somber, without brightness. When we reached a remarkably narrow part of the tunnel, I leaned my left hand against a rock. When I took my hand away and happened to glance at it, it was quite black. We had reached the coal strata of the central earth. "A coal mine!" I cried. "A coal mine without miners," responded my uncle, a little severely. "How can we tell?" "I can tell," replied my uncle, in a sharp and dictatorial tone. "I am perfectly certain that this gallery, through successive layers of coal, was not cut by the hand of man. But whether it is the work of nature or not is of little concern to us. The hour for our evening meal has come. Let us sup." Hans, the guide, occupied himself in preparing food. I had come to that point when I could no longer eat. All I cared about were the few drops of water which fell to my share. What I suffered, it is useless to record. The guide's gourd, not quite half full, was all that was left of for us three. Having finished their repast, all right, we better take a look at this. We better take a look at this drive. I'm starting to get a little bit dizzy in the voice department here. Let's take a look here now. Oh, yeah. Oh, I think where the heck is that? I think that's like Bear Canyon or some silly damn thing. But there's a archaeological site right over here. We probably just passed it. And yeah, I think one of the videos I posted one of my videos for going the other direction up the hill, and I started out at that archaeological site. Yeah, I think we probably had just passed it there, because it is at the bottom of a big old downhill. All right, okay, here we go. Now here we go. Oh yes, I even luckily my finger got stuck to the page. Having finished their repast, my two companions laid themselves down upon their rugs and found in sleep a remedy for their fatigue and sufferings. As for me, I could not sleep. I lay counting the hours until morning. The next morning, Saturday, at 6 o'clock, we started again. 20 minutes later, we suddenly came upon a vast excavation. From its mighty extent, I saw at once the hand of man could have had nothing to do with this coal mine. The vault above would have fallen in, as it was. It was only held together by some miracle of nature. This mighty natural cavern was about 100 feet wide by about 150 high. The earth had evidently been cast apart by some violent subterranean commotion, the mass giving way to some prodigious upheaving of nature, had split in two, leaving the vast gap into which we inhabitants of the earth had penetrated for the first time. The whole singular history of the coal period was written on those dark and gloomy walls. A geologist would have been able to easily follow the different phases of its formation. The seams of coal were separated by strata of sandstone, a compact clay, which appeared to be crushed down by the weight from above. At that period of the world, which preceded the secondary epoch, the earth was covered by a coating of enormous and rich vegetation, due to the double action of tropical heat and perpetual humidity. A vast atmospheric cloud of vapor surrounded the earth on all sides, preventing the rays of the sun from ever reaching it. Hence, the conclusion that these intense heats did not arise from this new source of caloric. Perhaps even the star of day was not quite ready for its brilliant work to illuminate the universe. Climates did not as yet exist, and a level of heat pervaded the whole surface of the globe. The same heat existing at the North Pole as at the equator. Whence did it come? From the interior of the earth? In spite of all the learned theories of Professor Hardwick, a fierce and vehement fire certainly burned within the entrails of the great spheroid. Its action was felt even to the very topmost crust of the earth. The plants then in existence, being deprived of the vivifying rays of the sun, had neither buds nor flowers nor odor, but their roots drew a strong and vigorous life from the burning earth of early days. There were but few of what many called trees, only herbaceous, oh boy, that is not right, herbaceous plants, immense turfs, briars, mosses, rare families, which, however, in those days were counted by the tens of thousands. Ugh, okay, we're through it. We're not looking back. It is entirely to this exuberant vegetation that coal owes its origin. The crust of the vast globe still yielded under the influence of the seething, boiling mass, which was forever at work beneath. Hence arose numerous fissures and continual falling in of the upper earth. The dense mass of the plants being beneath the waters soon formed themselves into vast agglomerations. Then came about the action of natural chemistry. In the depths of the ocean, the vegetable mass at first became turf. Then, thanks to the influence of gases and subterranean fermentation, they underwent the complete process of mineralization. In this manner, in early days were formed those vast and prodigious layers of coal, which an ever-increasing consumption must utterly use up in about 3 centuries more, if people do not find some more economic light than gas, and some cheaper mode of power than steam. Still the case by all these reflections. The memories of my school studies came to my mind while I gazed upon these mighty accumulations of coal, whose riches, however, are scarcely likely to be ever utilized. The working of these mines could only be carried out at an expense that would never yield a profit. The matter, however, is scarcely worth considering when coal is scattered over the whole surface of the globe, within a few yards of the upper crust. As I looked at these untouched strata, therefore, I knew they would remain as long as the world lasts. While we still continued our journey, I alone forgot the length of the road by giving myself up wholly to these geological considerations. The temperature continued to be very much the same as we were traveling amid the lava and schists. On the other hand, my sense of smell was much affected by a very powerful odor. I immediately knew that the gallery was filled to overflowing with that dangerous gas the miners called fire damp, the explosion of which has caused such fearful and terrible accidents, making 100 widows and hundreds of orphans in a single hour. Let's take a peekaboo at this drive while I wet my whistle. Boy, I just touched that page with my pencil and the damn page tore. This book is so old. Oh yeah, we're making our way into Star Valley here, and I think the speed limit drops down. You know, it doesn't really matter anyway, because you can't tell, and I'm not. Oh, it's a 100-mile-an-hour speed limit, and we're going 57. All right, let's keep going here. We're gonna keep going here. We might get through this chapter even. Happily, we were able to illume our progress by means of the Ruhmkorff apparatus. If we had been so rash and imprudent as to explore this gallery, torch in hand, a terrible explosion would have put an end to our travels, simply because no travelers would be left. Our excursion through this wondrous coal mine in the very bowels of the earth lasted until evening. My uncle was scarcely able to conceal his impatience and dissatisfaction at the road continuing still to advance in a horizontal direction. The darkness, dense and opaque, a few yards in advance and in the rear, rendering it impossible to make out what was the length of the gallery. For myself, I began to believe that it was simply interminable and would go on in the same manner for months. Suddenly, at 6 o'clock, we stood in front of a wall. To the right, to the left, above, below, nowhere was there any passage. We had reached a spot where the rocks said in unmistakable accents, "No thoroughfare." I stood stupefied. The guide simply folded his arms. My uncle went silent. "Well, well, so much the better," cried my uncle. "At last, I now know what we are about. We are decidedly not upon the road followed by Sucknussum. All we have to do is go back. Let us take one night's good rest before 3 days are over. I promise you we shall have regained the point where the galleries divide." "Yes, we may, if our strength lasts as long," I cried in a lamentable voice. "And why not? Tomorrow, among us three, there will not be a drop of water. It is just gone." "And your courage with it," said my uncle, speaking in a severe tone. What could I say? I turned round on my side, and from sheer exhaustion fell into a heavy but troubled sleep. Dreams of water, and I awoke unrefreshed. I would have bartered a diamond mine for a glass of pure spring water. Okay, that's the end of chapter 17. Now we could be real common sensey here and knock it right off right there. But let's just see how we're doing for time. Yeah, it's not too bad. I think we'll call it right there. All right, that's the end of chapter 17. Chapter 18, The Wrong Road. That's coming up. Okay, oh boy. Okay, I better not get started. Where are we at on this road here? Oh, we're in Star Valley. Oh, well, that'll be easy then. And next time we'll pick it up right there in Star Valley. Alrighty. Thanks for coming, guys. And we'll catch you next time. We'll leave you just a few seconds of the big old Rosie. But let's do this other thing here first. Sam, see, Sam, see, Sam, see. Okay, Rosie, you take over. I did my part. There you go now. Ah, you big old Rosie.